Now let's talk about inverse functions and how to evaluate it. Let's consider a function f of x to be equals to 3x plus 8. How can we find its inverse? Kindly keep in mind that the inverse function of a particular function is denoted as this, depending on what the question is. Sometimes you might have a function of g, you might have a function of h. Regardless, the inverse will still be an index of -1. Okay, for this it should be an index of -1, and that's how it is. So that's just the symbol that we use to denote inverse function. Now next is, how can we evaluate inverse function? Here are some steps that you need to follow. The first thing you want to do is that you want to replace f of x with y. Typically, y is f of x. You should have been familiar with that. So I'm going to replace f of x with y, and I'm going to write the expression back, 3x plus 8. Step 2, I will switch x and y respectively, meaning that I'm going to replace y with x, and I'm going to replace x with y, 3y plus 8. In the last step is I'm going to isolate y, meaning that I would make y the subjective formula. Whatever expression or whatever result I have as y in that case is simply the inverse function of f of x or whatever function given to you. So let's do that. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. I'm just going to bring this positive 8 to the side. Doing that, I should have x minus 8 to be equals to 3y. Then lastly, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And finally, y will be equals to x minus 8 divided by 3. And this is the inverse function of f of x. So you won't leave your answer this way. You need to write it in the standard form. So you now replace y with f to the power of -1 of x to now be equals to x minus 8 all divided by 3. And this is the final answer. And that's a quick and easy way to find the inverse function of a particular function. So the first step, just replace f of x with y. Secondly, switch the position of x and y respectively and isolate y. Now let's consider more problems in order to develop your idea in this topic. So let's say you have another function f of x to be equals to x cubed plus 8. What is the inverse function of this function? Feel free to pause the video and work this out. So just like before, I'm going to replace f of x with y, and I'm going to write the expression back, x cubed plus 8. Then secondly, I will flip the position, I will switch the position of x and y. Then I'm going to have x to be equals to y cubed plus 8. Then finally, I'm going to isolate y, meaning that I would make y the subjective formula. So I would like to bring this positive 8 to the side, and I have x minus 8 to be indeed equals to y cubed. Then what I'm going to do next in order to get rid of this cube is to cube root both sides, or I should multiply both sides with an index of 1/3. So that should be cube root of x minus 8 to be equals to cube root of y cubed. So these can cancel, and I should have y to be indeed equals to cube root of x minus 8. So finally, my final result as inverse of the function will become cube root of x minus 8. And this is my final answer, round 2. Work this out. So if you have f of x to be equals to square root of x plus 2, then outside this you have minus 5. What is the inverse of the function? Try this question out. So I'm going to replace f of x with y. I'm going to write it back, x plus 2, then minus 5. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides, or I should bring that -5 to this side, since it's not within the radical. So I should have y plus 5 to be indeed equals to x plus 2. Then finally, or for now, I would like to square both sides in order to get rid of this square root over here. So I'm going to have y plus 2 or y plus 5 all squared to be equals to square root of x plus 2, then all squared. Now at the left hand side or at the right hand side, rather, the square and the square root can cancel out. And I should be left over with y plus 5 all squared to be equals to x plus 2. By the way, I think I haven't switched the position of x and y, but nonetheless, I can still do that right now. It's not too late. So I'm going to replace y with x plus 5 all squared to be equals to y plus 2. So I've switched the position. Now I can isolate y. So finally, y will be equals to x plus 5 all squared, then minus 2. By the time I bring this positive 2 to the side, so it should tend to become negative 2, or by the time I subtract 2 from both sides. So lastly, the inverse of the function f of x will become x plus 5 all squared, then minus 2. And this is my final answer. Let's solve more. So consider this problem equals cube root of x plus 4, then minus 2. Something similar to what we just did right now or recently. So I would suggest you pause the video and work this out yourself. So unlike before, I will replace f of x with y. Then I'm going to rewrite the expression back. So I have x plus 4, then minus 2. So what I'm going to do next is to add 2 to both sides. Or I should bring this negative 2 to the side. But before then, let me switch x and y as suppose. So I'm going to switch the position of x and y respectively. So I'm going to replace y with x, and I'm going to replace x with y plus 4, then minus 2. Now at this point, I can bring the 2 to the side. So I should have x plus 2 to be indeed equals to cube root of y plus 4. Right now, I can take the cube of both sides, like I should multiply both sides with an index of 3 so as to get rid of the cube root and have it at the right hand side. So I'm going to take cube of both sides. So to the right, it turns out that the cube root will get rid of the cube, and I'm going to be left over with y plus 4 to be equals to x plus 2 all to the power of 3. Then finally, I can bring the positive 4 to the side. Or I should subtract 4 from both sides. Regardless, anyone you think you're familiar with, x plus 2 all to the power of 3, then minus 4. Then lastly, I will replace y with f to the power of negative 1 of x. And I'm going to rewrite the expression back. And I have x plus 2 all to the power of 3 minus 4. And this is my final answer. By now, you should have been familiar and be used to the concept and the techniques on how to deal with problems involving inverse function. Now, what if you are having a fraction? That is, you're having irrational functions. How can you do that? How can you find its inverse? Let's consider one. So what if f of x is equals to 3x minus 7 all divided by 4x plus 3? Pause the video and check this out. Unlike before, I'm still going to replace f of x with y, and I'm going to write the expression back. All divided by 4x plus 3. Then the next step, which is step 2, I'm going to flip or switch the position of x and y respectively. So wherever I see y, I'm going to replace it with x, and I have that. And wherever I see x, I'm going to replace it with y, and then I can isolate y. So that's 4y plus 3. Now my main goal is to isolate y. So what should I do? So the first thing I would like to do is to cross multiply, or I should multiply both sides with an inverse of 4y plus 3. So I'm going to have, by the time I cross multiply, let me put that there. I have x multiplied by 4y plus 3, then to be indeed equals to 3y minus 7. Then I'm going to distribute x for everything I have within the parentheses. Then I should have 4 times xy, that's 4xy. Then x times 3, that's 3x. Then that's simply equals to 3y minus 7. Now what I would do in this case is that I would like to bring the like terms together, like terms that is associated with y that I wanted to isolate. So I'm going to have 4xy minus 3y to be equals to negative 7, then negative 3x. Okay? What I did is that I tend to bring the 3y to the side and I take 3x to the side. I think that's pretty cool. By the way, you can do yours any way around or the other way around. Now, what I'm going to do next is to take y as the common factor. So I'm going to bring y outside and I'm going to be left over with 4x minus 3 to be equals. So I'm going to take out a negative 1 as a common factor here as well. And I have 7 plus 3x. Let's work with that. So let me adjust it a little bit. So finally, I will divide both sides by 4x minus 3. Then I should have the value of y to be indeed equals to negative 7 plus 3x, all divided by 4x minus 3. As we have been doing so far, I'm going to replace y with f inverse of x. Hopefully we have written this. I need more space. Then I should have f inverse of x to be equals to negative 7 plus 3x, all divided by 4x minus 3. And this is my final answer as well. So that's how to handle problems involving fraction as well. Let's consider one more for easy understanding. Consider this problem. F of x equals to x plus 3 divided by 3x minus 2. So I changed my mind. Feel free to use this as a practice problem. By the way, you can always post your solution in the comment section below for review. I'm going to give you feedback. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do what you subscribe right now. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you can always be notified whenever I upload a new video. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.